Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the second woman to ever serve on the distinguished bench as a Supreme Court Justice, also known by her nickname, where she was dubbed the notorious RBG, served as the most senior member of the court's liberal wing, constantly producing progressive votes on some of the most important social issues to date. Today, as we look at the timeline of her life, we will discuss things such as her early life and her background before her career as a Supreme Court Justice, how her progressive votes influenced issues such as women's rights, civil rights, and LGBTQ+ rights, and lastly, we will talk about her legacy. Despite her recent passing, her legacy will live on, and like Joe Biden said, she was a giant in the legal profession and a distinguished figure. We should focus on the loss of a justice and her enduring legacy. If you haven't already heard her name in the news, you might be asking yourself, who even is Ruth Bader Ginsburg? As we look at the timeline of her life, we will first talk about her early life. According to biography.com, she was born in Brooklyn, New York on March 15, 1933. She was the second daughter born to parents Nathan and Celia Bader. Ruth Bader Ginsburg also did very well in school. She attended James Madison High School in Brooklyn and excelled in her studies. Sadly, during the same time, Ruth's mother lost her battle to cancer just days before she was supposed to graduate. She continued her education and got her bachelor's degree from Cornell University for government. That same year, she married her husband of 54 years, Martin D. Ginsburg, and soon after they had their first child, Jane, who was born shortly after Martin was drafted into the military in 1954. 2 years after Martin was released from the military, they went back to school, both attending Harvard. Harvard is where RBG balanced her life as a new mother of a young child, as well as her new major of studying law. Harvard is also where RBG first began to see the effects of gender discrimination. In fact, the dean of the school at the time even said that the 8 women that were in the class of almost 500 were taking up the places of more qualified males. That didn't let her stop her, however. She soon became the first female member of the prestigious Harvard Law Review. That wasn't Ruth Bader Ginsburg's only great success. As we continue to look at the timeline of her life, we will now discuss her career. She had many progressive votes on important social issues. We will first start by talking about her first case, which was United States versus Virginia. According to a Teen Vogue article, it was one of her most famous regarding women's rights. The case in question is known as the case. The case was made against the Virginia Military Institute. The school argued that women were not suited for the rigorous training that the school offered. RBG disagreed, and the court agreed with her with a 5-4 vote. Next, we can move on to our next case, also from the same Teen Vogue article, Shelby County versus Holder. This case is known as the case that stripped the 1954 Voter Act. The case in question was against Shelby County, who wanted to get rid of preclearance. Preclearance is what made it so that states like Texas, Arizona, and Alabama had to go before a 3-panel judge or an attorney general before making any changes to the voting requirements. The court agreed with Shelby County, saying that it was outdated and unconstitutional. RBG later wrote on the matter that it doesn't make sense to get rid of preclearance when it has worked and is continuing to work at getting rid of discriminatory changes for voters. RBG was also a leader in some LGBTQ+ rights. She often advocated for their rights, and even she is known in the Obergefell versus Hodges case in 2015 for leading the march, and it is said that her outspokenness is what affected public opinion. She even called out regressive attitudes of those who wanted to uphold the same-sex marriage ban. Lastly, we will talk about Ruth Bader Ginsburg's legacy. According to biography.com, she always spoke her truth and gave her opinion on important issues that are still happening today in America. She left a significant mark on history and made it possible for people of minorities to vote, and also she left a significant mark on law, making it possible, expanding possibilities for work life and family life for both men and women. As we come to the conclusion of RBG's timeline, we have gone over things such as her early life and background before her career, as well as how her progressive votes influence history with issues such as women's rights, civil rights, and LGBTQ rights. And we also talked about her legacy. She made huge strides in history, and her legacy will be remembered with the countless ways she used her career for the betterment of American society.